Isn't it 50?
50, yeah, exactly. So this is kind of how we see, you know, generally speaking, our field of view is very close to a 50. This exaggerates the space very closely, compresses the space, everything feels on top of one another. That's why when you photograph a portrait, it's almost nicer to use a longer lens. It kind of brings their ears and nose, all their facial features together a little bit more. So that's one of the things to keep in mind there. This is the equation that you will be responsible for, and this is kind of what I want you to understand with lenses and the way that cameras interact when you're moving between bodies. Your f-stop or aperture is equal to the lens focal length divided by the aperture diameter. So basically when we look at this, if the focal length of the lens is 100 millimeters, you need a lens opening of 25 millimeters to produce an f4 to stay true to this equation. And so we have it here. And that's how we get an f4. But this is the thing that I would like you to at least roughly understand. There's lots of complicated mathematics between optics and everything, but this formula allows you to go around and pick up any lens or any camera that you want and still same film. You set it once and forget it. You won't have to ever change it again. But if you buy a bunch of them, just be careful. So I'm going to set it at 400, and because I shake, I'm going to use 125. So what kind of aperture do I have? Oh my gosh, it's still telling me that I need like a 1.2 to make this image happen. I'll have to spike it closer. Oh my gosh, there's the exposure. It's super dark in here. So based on 125, let's go down to a 30th of a second. Hey, there we go. So I have to go down to like 30th of a second, ISO 400, and my camera is telling me right here that this is 2.8. This becomes middle gray. Now what's it saying up here? And I go closer to the ceiling, or if I go to the light, it's saying, if I include all of the light, it's like 16, and if I include just the ceiling tiles, it's like a 5.6. 2.8, 5.6. So 2.8 down here, 2.8 going 4, 5.6. There's a 3-stop difference between this and kind of what's going on up there. That's totally within the realms of film exposure. This to the light is probably a bit too aggressive, but this is how I start to meter it and understand. I also know that it's rendering everything a middle gray, right? I'm going to have to introduce contrast to the scene in the darkroom, but I suggest, if you can, to meter by filling the frame and not letting your camera give you an average by simply going, that's my exposure.